sister sit and store what I'm about to preach on. Damn, sister, close the door. Watch what you step out on. I said, hey, sister, so before you become a sin, I said, hey, sister, there is more, even if you think there isn't. When you live your life day to day, there will always be obstacles in your way. But don't let that get you down, girl.
Hey, sisters, we are back as we promised you we would be, with another intelligent, intuitive, dynamic, powerful woman. Hi, Miss Tara. What's going on, girl?
Hi, Miss Nadia. How you doing today? Happy Friday,
Yeah,
right? Oh
right.
man. Whew, thank goodness.
Oh man, has it been a week for you? Like it's been a week.
It's been a week too. I'm celebrating that it's Friday and that the main part of my week is over, and now I've got at least a
Yeah,
little bit of a more relaxed weekend schedule to deal with.
yeah,
So yeah, definitely busy
yeah.
week. It's always busy. You have a 6-year-old too, so you know we're always busy.
Yes. They have so much energy, and it is just, it's like this ever going flow, So sometimes I just wish I could plug into her and just
Hmm.
zap some of her energy, just like fill up on her. So,
That would be amazing because if you could fill up on her energy and deplete some of her energy at the same time, that would make nap time and
just like
bedtime
a little.
so much easier because I feel
Wait a
like
minute. Do you still get nap time?
occasionally,
Oh,
if I take a nap with her, then yes,
okay.
definitely. But if I'm
Yeah.
like trying to get her to go do it on her own, yeah, not so much.
No.
It has to be like a hard day. We're outside playing, nice and early. That's the
Yeah.
only time.
I hear that. Oh man. So Tara, I mean, I've been having a good time getting to know more about you as we've interacted on social media and whatnot and just kind of chilling out, chatting with you. But I really want everyone to hear about who you are, what you do, who you help, all of that.
Okay, so I help entrepreneurs align their businesses so that they can grow it without stress. And I use Reiki. And Reiki is a completely holistic, all natural healing modality that started back in Jesus, in Japan. I can't speak. My 6-year-old is doing dancing right next to me, so I'm trying to focus, you know, multitasking mommy life and
We know
entrepreneur
how it
life.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's a completely holistic modality. It's just uses energy and just where you're tapping into the universal loving energy, and that you're going to direct towards the individual that you're focusing on. Give me one
Mhm.
second. I'm so sorry. I just got a delivery. Let me just grab
Yeah.
this so it doesn't buzz. I'm sorry.
No worries. So we'll be back with Tara. You see, this is it, mompreneurs, right? We're constantly moving and going and shaking and doing, and our kids are dancing next to us while we're trying to do interviews, and deliveries are coming, and we are just rolling with it. This is the life. I'm so happy to be back here and sharing with all of you. I'm so happy to be chatting with Tara today. Tara's in my old stomping ground in the Bronx, and people find it so funny when I say that I speak Spanish because I learned it in the Bronx. I hadn't even gone to a Spanish speaking country yet, and I was speaking Spanish fluently. So just goes to show you could take advantage of pretty much any situation and make good for yourself, right? So that's where she's calling in from in my old stomping ground. I was just telling her how much I miss like New York street food so much. But yeah, this is how we just keep going and keep supporting one another as we figure out all the bits and pieces of mommying and entrepreneurship, and understanding that these are not siloed, right? We don't just cut off one piece and start the next piece. They're all happening at the same time. And here at HERstory, we're connecting as visionary women creating a space for visionary women to be able to come together and have meaningful conversations. And all this year, we're talking about our perspectives on vision, voice, version, and victory. And we're going deeper in our masterminds come April, and we have an event for you in April. So we have so much going on for our visionary women. Don't worry, Tara girl, I was here holding it down for you.
Bless
You know,
you.
because
Thank
that's
you.
what we do. Yeah.
I'm like, well, not now. Like, all right, everything's settled. She's not dancing next to me. I'm fully here. I've got the package. I should have no more interruptions. My apologies. Thank you, Nadia. Yeah, I'm
Don't
fucked out
worry.
today. I can't speak properly. Oh, man. All right, where were
Now,
we? Please,
now,
let's take a
now
step
you
back.
were telling us about what you do and how you help entrepreneurs
Yes,
and how you use Reiki as a tool, as a modality in that process. We know you're a mommy.
yes.
But tell us a bit more about Tara. Tell us more about how Tara got here, you know, what Tara hopes for.
Well, what Tara hopes for, how I got here, it was, I'll say, an interesting journey. Like a lot of us, we've had previous relationships where we've invested a lot of ourselves, a lot of our energy, a lot of our time, a lot of our attention, and maybe it didn't work out, the first time around. So I'll say it was 2 years ago, about 2018 to 2019. Her dad and I were together like almost, I'll say definitely 20 years. We like pretty much grew up together from our 20s to our 30s to our early 40s, but we lost communication, we lost trust, we lost a lot of the connection that we had. And then it became a point of, why are we still doing this? Are we doing this because we want to do this, or is it because we're in the habit of doing it? So we had broken up. It was like a year-long breakup. It was intense. It was just, layers. It was the time, it was the attention, it was the withdrawal of just not having, that person to go to when you're so used to, especially after being together such a long time. So from there, well, before the breakup and before the little girl got here, like in 2014, I had a miscarriage, and I was in my late 30s. So I had already knew about my chakras from studying yoga, just doing it for years. Then that happened. So that was like my driving force to get balanced, get myself centered, and really focus on my chakras and apply everything that I had knew to my personal life and to my personal being. So that was like January of 2014. She came around. It was, let's say, I found out about her in July of 2015, and then here she was in that March of 2015. Take it back, that whole long year break from like 2018 to 2019, that was the growing period, that was the healing period. And then I started doing these challenges, which led to the creation of 30-Day Lifestyles, which is my organization, where it's about focusing on your mental, your physical, and your spiritual growth. And it was applying 30 days of just focusing on that. How could I keep the vibration high so not to revert back into bad habits or bad behavioral patterns, or just not even vibrating at a high enough frequency where I could then attract or will or grow or even have the insight or vision to imagine the things that I wanted to change, what I wanted to attract, and what I wanted to bring into fruition, so to speak. All that takes is your attention, your time, and without having a clear vision on what you want, or even being quiet and still to figure out what you want, it's kind of hard to manifest these things or even know what to manifest.
Yeah. I don't know if you caught this morning's affirmation, but in my tiredness, I realized it was a really good opportunity to actually put into practice some of the things that we've been talking about. And I stood on Instagram for about 3 minutes being still, just as you're talking about here, and just allowing that stillness for a moment, because sometimes it's so easy to get caught in the doing that we forget to be intentional about where we invest our time, and recognizing that we're allowed to invest our time in ourselves. We're allowed to invest our time into connecting with that deeper vision and getting clarity on our vision. We're allowed to, have a moment. It used to be forbidden.
Or even just not talked about it, because I think most of us, we lose track of ourselves because, we're busy wearing so many different hats, wearing so many different
Mhm.
masks, whether it's the partnership and the wife, the domestic relationship. Then you've got
Mhm.
your mommy role. Then you've got your CEO business role. Then you've got
Mhm.
your sister girlfriend role. There's so many different layers to being a woman and then striving to succeed. But you
Yeah.
wear so many different hats at the same time. And it's just honestly balancing it. But if we're not pouring into ourselves constantly, we're going to be depleted at some point because we're always pouring out into some other bucket.
That's right. That's right. And for us as visionary women with these massive dreams and these, I mean, dreams we have for ourselves, dreams we have for our communities, we want more, we desire more, we are hungry for more, we're willing to put in to do more. And we have to remember that also means putting in less, right? In a strange
Hmm.
way, and pouring more into ourselves. Because if we are the ones creating the possibility, then we need to make sure that creativity, that creation is flowing from a
Hmm.
place of ease, and not just always the push and pull and the rah 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 that you
The
know
force. Yeah,
yeah,
we don't
exactly.
always have to push. At some point, we need to surrender and trust and let go because if we do that, then we can let our natural, whatever your faith is, God, give you the direction and the guidance and the
Yeah,
wisdom to hear what you need to do and where you need to move. If you're
yeah,
constantly pushing, you're not going to hear or you're not going to see the message because you're causing friction. So it is
exactly.
about us being able to care for ourselves. And even when you mentioned creativity, I talk about chakras all day. That's your sacral chakra. That's where your powerhouse of creativity is. So all of our emotions, all of our thoughts, they all have an energy, they all have a frequency. If we are mindful and aware, you can refer to the different frequencies. David Hawkins, he talks about them in Power versus Force. Like there's a calibrations, kinesiology, there's a science behind this. If you are vibrating below a level of 200, then you're like you're self-destroying yourself because you are fulfilling your own prophecies all the time with your thoughts and what
Right.
you're attracting. So if you can't get above that 200 level,
Yeah.
then you're unbeknownst to yourself always sabotaging yourself.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of just being very mindful, being aware, and shifting your focus to pay attention. You can have a thought, but it's a matter of one, acknowledging that thought, forgiving that thought, don't judging yourself. That's like the biggest saboteur for us, a lot of us. And that's one of those master saboteurs. It's like this whole study. My buddy Rhonda from Tribe as well. She does
Mhm.
positive intelligence, but the judge is like the master saboteur in addition to all the other little ones. But if we're constantly judging ourselves for even just having a thought instead of letting go and forgiving it and then changing it, then you get into that pattern, that low level frequency. So we have to learn to let go a lot faster and it'll speed up our growth.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it reminds me of that science experiment for kids where you put rice in a jar of water
Hmm.
and you play one type of music
Hmm.
for I think like a week, and you do the same thing with another jar with rice and water and a different kind of music in separate rooms.
Hmm.
And depending on the type of music, they had one of the rice jars would like decay and
Mm.
and just create this all this damage around it, and the other one would be nice and bright and flourishing, and just like that idea of the frequency of the music, how it impacts water and how it gives instructions to water, and other organisms on what to do. And our bodies are made up of so much water. Like that was the whole,
I'm
yeah.
so glad you said that. No, I'm so glad you said that because imagine just that experiment, right? Rice and water. Now imagine the vibration that music has on our body. Not even just
Mhm.
the music, what about our thinking, our emotions
Right.
that we're walking around with, the food that we're intaking on a regular
Mhm.
basis? All these things break down and decompose in our body. Are they things that are going to give us fuel? Are they going to cause decay and destruction? So
Yeah.
all of that is so very important. It all has an energy to it because I'm always talking about energy, but everything is really energy. It's on so many levels, and we always have energy constantly around our beings. We're constantly intermingling with other people's energy, but if we're mindful of it, we can enhance it because we can't destroy it. We can only try to
Right.
transmute it. But that goes
Right.
back to our attention and our intentions and our
Mhm.
focus. which goes back to your question about vision and how are we going to project and see the world.
Yes. So, well, now we've talked about vision, but what, in your opinion, is the importance of vision? Like, why is it important for us to spend the time to clarify it?
We need direction. We need
Mhm.
growth. We need to have a map or a focus point. So if you don't have a vision or a goal, what are you going for? What's your driving force that makes you get up and want to change things in the morning? Who
Yeah.
are you looking to change things for? So they
Mhm.
all are interrelated and they're all going to be interdependent on one another. But yeah, of course,
Yeah.
vision is priceless. If you don't have a vision, then what are you doing? Why are you
Yeah.
waking up every day? What's driving you? So
Mhm.
what you think, your thoughts, these are all going to affect what your vision. Because if you have a negative frequency, your vision,
Mhm.
your outlook is going to be negative. But if you have a
Yes.
positive, grateful, energy and attitude, then your vision is going to be, gratefulness. It's going to be filled. It's going to be to maybe help the planet. I mean, like we both have two little 6-year-olds. They're going to be at some point in our position where they're going to be the moms, the businesswoman, the provider, the wife that's going to take care. But how are they going to know how to do it? What did we teach them? Did we give them the ample information to take care of themselves so they can sustain and be able to keep up with the high energy pace of life in the world that they're in? Because their
And
pace is going to be faster than ours if we don't slow down.
it's true. It is true. And I mean, hey, we all got slowed down, right? We all
Mandatory. We all had a forced slow down, whether we liked it or not.
exactly. And so it does give us a chance to make some decisions about the examples we want to set for them, and who we want to be and how we want to be for them. Just this morning I was talking, we have a mompreneur, dadpreneur boot camp coming up, and we
Mm-hmm.
were talking about having tunnel vision, and how if we recognize that we are the light in the tunnel, as opposed to thinking the light is at the end of the tunnel, then we can actually illuminate our way. And when we do that, we set the example for our children that they are the light. They are allowed to shine, and they have the opportunity now to tap into that internal vision that's driving them, as opposed to having this tunnel vision that says all the good stuff is at the end, you
Mm-hmm.
know and once we connect with that internal vision that drives us and illuminates our minds and shows us the opportunities that are here in front of us now, and not just the good stuff at the end, then we actually attract the good things to us, by no longer just sitting down, like, oh man, there's nothing good happening now. I gotta wait for when I'm retired. I gotta wait for when
Oh
the kids go off
yeah.
to college. I gotta wait for when that happens.
Well, that's the programming. That's the programming of the previous generations, and I think that this generation is shifting that and breaking those molds. But
Yeah.
if you're not grateful now, then how can you attract or get more into your life? So it's not just, like you said, waiting until the end of the tunnel. It's about, like you said, being the light and being grateful for the whole duration, because it's all an adventure. It's all a different awakening. It's all, gradually coming into fruition. So you
Yeah.
don't want to just wait till the end, because then you're not going to attract more good things. You want to be in a state of gratitude constantly so that you're always attracting, not
Yeah.
just in 5 years or when you have this
Mm,
ideal goal in your brain. You want to
yeah.
wake up every day, and that's a key shift as far as for just
Yes.
elevating your own energy.
Yes. Yes. And this is why I'm loving these conversations that we're having here as visionary women, because we're really bringing out that feminine perspective on a lot of these conversations. And one of the things that we face as women, and we've been having this conversation, I mean, women in different countries, different racial, ethnic backgrounds, coming from different religious perspectives, different viewpoints, all of this diversity, and yet we are all kind of coming to one place on this question. And I really would like to hear about it from you. Have you experienced a time where you felt as though your own voice was being diminished or silenced?
I would say definitely yes, but it would definitely, I would say, done based on my own limiting beliefs at that time. It wasn't something that was done to me per se, if
Mhm.
that makes sense. It was just
Yes.
being in a cycle and a system and not knowing how to shift it or elevate what I was
Yeah.
doing at that moment. And it was once I changed that mold and shifted, then I no longer had that dynamic and I no longer felt that way. So
Yeah.
a big part of even feeling like you're losing your voice, one, your fifth chakra is blocked if you're not speaking up for your truth.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's because of lots of different layers. It could be because, like you said, culturally, it could
Mhm.
be racially, it could be just, spiritually, it could be emotionally, it could be physical. There's tons of reasons why a woman may not be speaking out or why they not be using their voice. But it's only once they have that awakening, so to speak,
Yeah.
that it's as soon as they change it, it will change. But if they don't change it mentally, then it's hard to change it physically and
Right.
spiritually. You
Yeah.
have mindset is key to everything. Before you can have it different, you have to think it and see it different. And
That's right.
again, that's such a critical shift, but it's an instrumental element to
Mhm.
everything else. So everyone gets to that point at their own time. It's just everyone wakes up when they wake up. I know
Yeah.
I was searching for years before I woke up, quite honestly, and
Yeah.
it happened when it happened, but it wasn't something that I could force to happen. It had
Right.
to happen naturally when it was supposed to happen. So of
Yeah.
course, I think most women, especially in this time in this world, have felt like they didn't have a voice. But
Mhm.
as soon as they again empower themselves and were able to let go of those limiting beliefs that are
Yes.
invisibly there, because there's really
Yes.
nothing unless you have like tape over your mouth and somebody's got you stuffed in a trunk. You can speak up whenever you feel
Yeah.
like speaking up, but
Yeah.
you have to know that and you have to feel the
Yes.
energy and the love and support for yourself and not be judging yourself. A
Yes.
lot of this is just layers and just behavioral and emotional and thinking patterns, but when we can change them and reprogram it, we can free ourselves. And it's all about just being free.
Yes. And I mean, first of all, emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. All right, let's just drop a little bit of Bob Marley in there. Um, and that's one of the conversations that we've been having with this, parentpreneur conversation. But also this idea that, we keep circling back to this conversation. Yes, there are real structures and systems and people and intentions that are out there, with their only desire is to silence our voices. Yes, they
Mm-hmm.
exist. Yes, I had a role in allowing them to silence me.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I now recognize my power to reject the silencing and speak regardless. And a further dimension we added this week in the conversation was my silence is also a tool of me using my voice, but the importance is me choosing and not it being chosen for me. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
if I choose to speak up or to be silent in that moment, that is my decision, you know?
Absolutely.
And so that's the circle we keep coming back to on this question. And I think it is really riveting and something that we should all take note of, because these are also not just points of arrival where
Mm-hmm.
once we get there, it's there forever. This kind of happens then in different circumstances and situations. I am really vocal here, but when I
Mm-hmm.
am in this space, I feel really shut down, and there's so much more work that I have to do to bring my voice, and
To
give my
full
voice space.
capacity.
Yes,
Yeah, no,
yes.
and it's like the different layers and the different hats and the different,
Mhm.
masks that we wear. Like maybe a person is outspoken in their career because this is where they're most comfortable, but then maybe in their personal relationships, they're
Right.
suppressed because they were taught or they have this programming, because it's just
Mhm.
programming that they're not supposed to speak up because if they speak too much, then maybe he's not going to be there. Maybe he's not going to
Right.
love you. Maybe he's not going to support you. So then it's an
Mhm.
underlying, emotion that or a need that you're actually blocked because you're
Yeah,
not speaking up in this level, but it's really something to do with your heart. So you've
exactly.
got all these different layers, and then maybe you're not speaking up for your children or with your children because
Mm.
you don't want to, or you're not sure how to balance discipline. But discipline with
Mm.
children is a necessary, and there's different forms. It's just could be timeout,
Yes.
could be no, candy, could be cookies, or maybe you got your hand pop. It's whatever you are comfortable with, as long as it's not
Yeah.
excessive. You need to have some type of discipline for your child, because they need
Yeah.
to have respect and they need to be able to listen. So
Yeah.
maybe in that area you're not as vocal as you could be, Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's opposite. Maybe you're too vocal because you're the only person you feel power over. So, like I said, there's so
Right.
many different layers that it just, where are you maybe experiencing that block? Where do you feel like your voice is suppressed? What
Mm-hmm.
air is it? Because I'm sure if you look at the layer behind what's causing that
Yeah.
voice to be, not as prevalent as it should be or outspoken, then you can unblock it and release
Mm-hmm.
yourself. So this way you can have that power back. So it's just intricate and interesting how you break this
Yeah.
stuff down.
Yeah. And I just want to pull out, have that power back.
Always
It
take
was
it
the
back.
power we started with. And at some point, whether or not we knew it, we gave it away, but it's still ours. I
That
really want to pull that
identification
out.
is key. Yeah, because
Mhm.
once you identify that you've given it away, you can take
Yes,
it back or you can get
that's
it
right.
back. But
Yeah.
you have to have the shift to realize that there was something that changed or that it's
Mhm.
gone. How did it go away? Why did it go
Right.
away? And then just how do we get it back so
Yeah,
that you can have it back? Because it's yours. You're supposed to have it. You're supposed to
exactly.
be able to have your truth
Yeah.
project in whatever area you need it to.
Absolutely. Now, when we do all of this work, we do the unblocking that you're talking about. We pay attention to, the frequencies we're operating at. Are we speaking life and vibrance and abundance and wealth and wellness and health and all of that? Are we speaking death and decay and destruction? What is the story going on in the back of our minds? What is that programming that's been so deeply inculcated in who we are, and all of that? We go through this whole process and we come to this point where we start to recognize that we can actually make some determinations about the story that's told about our lives, that our story
Hmm.
is ours, and the perspectives of the circumstances that we've been through will vary from person to person, but our story belongs to us. And we can take control of that narrative and we can decide on the version of our story that is told. This idea of crafting your story yourself, of taking control of that narrative, how does that make you feel?
That empowers me. That inflames me. It shifts me because once we've changed our dialogue, and even once I've changed my own dialogue, like I've told you at a point, of course I felt like my voice was diminished, but once I changed my story, because now I see and I attract what I think. So for myself, my story is that, God is always giving me solutions, blessings and wisdom. So this way, if I have a roadblock come up, I'm going to be given a solution. I don't have to sit there and spend my energy trying to force it or figure it out.
Mhm.
Blessings, because I believe in attracting blessings into my life, and wisdom because I need as much divine guidance as I can get. So that's the story I tell myself. And again, I love how you put that because if we're not thinking of the story that we're telling ourselves, then we're letting anything in. The floodgates are open at all times. There's always an energy or some type of projection, especially I know in the States, you're always getting some type of messaging or some type of buy this, get this, you're hungry, you need this. There's always something flashing in your face to
Yeah.
get you excited or to exert a different type of energy in you to make you act to go and buy and just compulsive and get things. You need to be able to monitor your inner dialogue and your inner story because that's what's going to guide you. And that's what keeps you from being able to block out all those invisible things that are constantly trying to come at you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, that is empowering, right? It is empowering
1,000 times
when we,
empowering.
yeah, because we understand that the story will be written one way or another, you know, but who gets to
It's
write
always,
it?
yeah,
Yeah.
I would hope that you would want to write your story. I know I want to
Yeah,
write my own. Who wants someone else to dictate their version? This is our
that's
one
right.
God-given life that we've been given while we're
That's
in the
right.
planet Earth to do with it as we decide,
Yeah.
to not do. That's why we have free will. That's what makes being a human being so fascinating.
Yeah.
We have the choice. We have the choice
Hmm.
of what we're telling ourselves. We have the choice to shift what we tell ourselves. We have the choice to imagine a better reality and a better future. If you can think it, you can have it, you can attract it. But you have to know those basic fundamentals. And unfortunately, so many of us are disconnected. We don't have that basic knowledge of truth, of self, for a lack of a better way to put it. And once you
Hmm.
do, then you'll know that the limits are unlimited to what you
Yeah.
can have and what you can attract. But the key basic ingredient is you must know to know Because if you don't
Yes.
know, you have no idea what you don't know.
Yes. You know, we in our HERstory group, we had a couple conversations on this last year. Well, maybe this year, I don't remember. But one of them was, in our Tuesday tidbits, our friend Sophia Soj Jackson, who is also the voice that we hear behind our video.
Okay.
So she was talking about the quadrants of what's known and what's unknown. And
Mm-hmm.
the known knowns, the known unknowns, the unknown knowns, and the unknown unknowns. And where are we fitting in
Mm-hmm.
there, right? What are the things that we know we don't know, so we can seek knowledge on that? What are the things we just don't know we don't know? How do
Yeah.
we need to get into other circles so that those things can be highlighted? What are the things that we don't know that we know? They come naturally to us. We don't even realize that this is
You're
knowledge that
so
we
You're
possess.
automatic. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I love the beautiful way to put it, because even
yeah,
if you don't know what you don't know to seek the information. And unless you're
exactly.
exposed to it or it's given to you,
Yeah,
then you can't change that because you don't know to
ex-
change it. I like that,
exactly.
Nadia. I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
take that.
that was a really good tidbit that she gave us. And then another Tuesday tidbit I had done, we hear, things like, well, you have to be the person who does the things to have the success that you say that you want. And that conversation for me among visionary women, there's a pre-step. The pre-step is our knowing. We
Yeah, you have to.
intuitively
Hmm.
know. Yeah. And so when our knowing is sending us that way, and we keep saying, no, I want to be, do, and have over there, then the disconnect, we go back to that pushing and pulling, that force,
Yep.
over the flow, right?
Because
Um,
we have to be aligned. What we think, what we do, and what we feel, they have to match. Because if they're not matching, like you said, you're causing that inner friction. We're doing it
yeah.
to ourselves. So we
Yes.
must think, do, and
Yeah.
act all in
Yeah.
accordance. So if we know
Exactly.
something isn't good for us, we should probably try not to do it. Just try.
Exactly.
Try. I'm
Exactly.
not. No one's here to judge anyone, but try. And the more you try, the easier it becomes to not do that. Or
Yeah.
the easier it is to change something. If you know you need to exercise, we do need to exercise. We're a human being. We need to move our chi around. It's our energy. We need to do these things. This is for our own self improvement. I was
Yeah.
watching a video that Dr. Sebi made earlier, that the only time you're like gonna cause problems is if you're not getting oxygen. So if you're not getting
Right.
oxygen, you need to move your body around. Like, so
Mm,
it's just a lot about just basically learning how to honestly care for ourselves. A lot of
yeah.
information and tools that we just weren't taught. Our parents, a
Mm,
lot of them weren't taught because they've been programmed to work, take care of the family, get a job,
exactly.
and
Mhm.
that's their programming. Because again, this isn't our original origin of where we're like born. This is for most of us, we're
Yeah.
born into a system that's already been created, that's
Mhm.
already kind of guiding you by the masses, and this is
Mhm.
what's expected of you. This is what's expected of
Yes.
you. So
Yes.
unless you change that and move and remove that shift or that programming from you, you're going to
Yeah.
be like one of the sheep, just following the masses, following the
That's
masses.
right. Yeah.
But that's not going to help take care of you. That's not going to teach you how to have self love. It's not going to teach you to be strong mentally, physically, or spiritually. It's going to
Yeah.
leave you with a void. And then at some point, we all have that awakening when we wake up. Hopefully, it's just not at the end of your life when you're 80, when it's like
Yes.
it's almost over. If you have that shift in your like 30s, 40s, you have plenty of time. You can apply all this stuff. Like there's a lot you can get done. But
Yeah.
like I said, you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't have
Yeah.
that shift or that wake up, when I feel like the planet is waking up, like there's so many of us that are becoming aware. Like there's never been a better time to like be alive and to know the things that I feel like we know, or that you are encountering just spiritually and just your intuition, that the way that you're being taught to use it and to guide and to trust it,
Yeah.
especially as females, especially as entrepreneurs. It's usually a very firm, masculine world, I would
Right.
say.
Yeah.
And as a woman, it almost feels, especially if you're doing things virtually, you're
Mm.
isolated. So you really don't
Right.
have that camaraderie. So it's a
Mm.
matter of having that support system, whether it's her story group or some other type of connection where we're isolated within isolation, but
Mm.
as an entrepreneur doing things online, you're isolated further. So
Mhm.
how do you get that connection? How do you interact with other beings? And just vibe off that energy, have a community of support. Because I feel like that's one of the big things that as a female entrepreneur, there's not a lot of support as far as for the camaraderie. And I feel like maybe the guys do that part a little bit better just because they've been doing it so long. But
Yeah,
we're here shifting the energy and changing the things, but
exactly. Yeah,
we need to, I feel like, be more supportive of each other, be more caring, be more giving. If
yeah,
there's someone that's, you can help, by all means, help
yeah.
them because you never know when you're going to need help. It's always reciprocal and it always comes back to you. And I believe in putting out there what I expect to get.
Yes, and that's where community comes in, and you're right. When it comes to business and some of these other spaces, women are now coming into that space and we're
Hmm.
folding into what it looked like and sounded like and acted like before. But
Hmm.
now we're able to come in and say, hold on a minute now. We kind of need our own space to talk about
Yeah.
things the way how we talk about things, the way how we understand things. We can leverage that knowledge. Absolutely. We can learn so much from what's been done before, what's worked, what hasn't worked. Fantastic. But we need a
Hmm.
space that starts off with, okay, come on, girl. I get it. I understand. And that's
Hmm.
where community comes in, because we really need to be able to in this understanding of the reprogramming, in this
Hmm.
understanding of the needing to know what we don't know. You could sit down and ask yourself a million questions and you can try to figure it all on your own, but that
Those are
void is
things,
never going to be filled.
it's not filled because you're asking yourself the questions that you know to ask. But if you don't have
Yeah.
that outside voice or that outside interaction that says,
Yes,
hey, Nadia, by the way, have you thought of it this way? Until you
exactly.
have that outside person ask you in that way, now you'll know to think of that way so you know to
Exactly.
know. But
Yeah,
until
because
that
you're just
happens,
you're in a like a spiral. You know what I
yeah.
mean? When you're just talking to yourself only, because we do need to internalize the things that we're learning and figure out how to apply
Hmm.
it. But we also need this space.
You definitely you need a community. You need to have that interaction. I feel like that's one of the areas that as a female entrepreneur, like we can thrive faster
Yes.
and better if we have more of that.
Yes, exactly, exactly. That's why, in this whole journey of bringing her story to life and birthing all of this, we decided to go with masterminds because, again, these are not terms that are historically used for us,
Hmm.
right? We're not historically referred to as strategic. We're not historically referred to as, intelligent. When I introduce you ladies, I avoid words like beautiful and pretty and
Yeah, like just the basic, like you're not a face, you're more than a face, you're intelligent, you're
exactly.
logical, you're grounded, you're
Yeah,
advanced. These are
yeah,
all great, adjectives, not just, yeah, she's pretty, she's got a nice voice. Okay, great. But
yeah.
what is she saying? What's
Right,
the inside about?
exactly.
The
Exactly.
substance is what we want to know about.
Yes. And so this has been a really great experience with all of you. Now, I want to hear one of those words that, again, generally has not really been used in in describing us. Victory. Victory has, lots of connotations. It brings lots of different images to mind. What imagery does it bring to your mind? That one word, victory.
Victory is kind of synonymous, I would say, with freedom because my biggest driving force is to free myself from the system and to create my own. So for me, victory will be once I am free and free from a 9 to 5, free to just pursue my own business and grow my business and all the different avenues and seeds that I've been planting. For me, that will be my victory. I'm still victorious along the way because I've gotten some great accomplishments and some great things, done like the last 12 months, quite honestly. So I'm super proud and grateful for as much as I've done, but there's so much more that I still want to accomplish that I would love to set up and just, give that edge for like my little girl. Like she doesn't have to go out and intern. Now you come intern with mommy, baby.
Yeah.
So for me, that would be victory.
Yes. And I love that point of, what we create for the next generation. And even if it isn't our physical children, we understand that when we create opportunities, for the next generation to in turn where they see themselves represented in the leadership,
Mm-hmm.
to take a job where someone understands their cultural background, to be
Mm-hmm.
able to pursue a career or be educated in circles where people look like them, sound like them, and respect their history, where people don't make statements like, oh, I don't see color. I'm like, well, it's kind of the first thing you'll see on me.
Can't miss it.
And
No,
you
you
can't
really
miss it.
you can't miss
Yeah.
it.
And
Yeah,
there's
no, I
history
get
to it.
it.
Yeah.
There's
Right. And
such a
so,
history to it, and there's an emotion to it. And again, it's just
yes.
a matter of what is the emotional frequency that we're bringing to that charge,
Yes.
because it
Yeah.
doesn't all have to be negative. Like, it
Right.
started in a negative way, but the
Mhm.
transcendence of what has come,
Yeah.
there has been some type of growth. There's a spiritual
Yes.
awakening. There is empowerment. No, it's not as prevalent as we would like it to be, but it
Mhm.
is there, and to discount it is to almost disrespect it. So it's just
Yeah.
a matter of getting more people on board and more people
Exactly.
to make the shift. And the more we wake
Exactly.
up, we can wake up 5 or 10 more people along the way.
Exactly. Exactly. We wake up, we call the awakening, we create the awakening with that. It's kind of like a ripple effect. If you think of like the
Absolutely.
opposite of a yawn, right? Like, what is the yawn that wakes you up, basically, right? Like you see one person yawn and everybody else starts yawning. What is that
Contagious.
like? Exactly. So it's like a reversal, somebody wakes up and then everybody else starts waking up. And in that awakening, we create the spaces for these opportunities to arise, flourish, and continue to bring the changes that we say we want,
And to
and
thrive.
to exactly. And so we want to be able to have that impact, to actually make that real long lasting change for the generations to come. Oh my gosh, Tara, thank you so very much for all
Thank
your
you.
insights. Yeah,
It was
this
a
is
pleasure. Hold on, let me just switch my bird. That one died.
well, this has been so great. I got a chance to tell everyone earlier, but just to remind everyone that in April we have our Hey Sister Let's Color event, where we get to come together and have a lot more of these conversations, and we're going to do it in a really chill, cool, relaxed kind of way. We're working with Sophia Soj Jackson and her Soulful coloring book. Soulful
Interesting.
coloring book.
Keep me
Yeah.
informed. Yeah, I would love to
Yes.
participate. That sounds like it'll be
Yes.
fun.
It will be fun. And we can say that with absolute sureness because we did it before and it was so fun.
Really? All right.
Yeah.
Do I use
So we
crayons? I can get colored pencils. Like, what's my
yes.
anything I want?
Yes. So
Okay.
we'll make sure everyone has access to the pages of the book that we're coloring, and each
Okay.
image has an affirmation. And so we'll be getting
Oh,
into discussion around the affirmation.
can my
How do we
6-year-old do it
apply
with
it?
us,
Well, you know what, my
or is
six
it
year
for
old
adults?
my 6-year-old hijacked the last one, so so why not?
Okay. All right. I just didn't know if it's like a kid appropriate, atmosphere. So okay, cool.
Yeah. Tea and coffee.
Well, it's
Yeah.
not wine and beer for some folks. So
You're
I
right.
gotta
No,
ask.
not for this
Okay.
one. No, yeah. So yeah, we it's a very just great atmosphere. It's virtual and it's kind of like this. It's like having me time, but in concert with other women having their me
Okay.
time. It's really,
Yeah. Sounds like
really
it's gonna be
refreshing.
fun.
It
Okay.
is. It really is. And when we do this, we're doing this to raise funds for the Beautiful Foundation because all this year our commitment is to supporting the work at the Beautiful Foundation, which is an
Okay.
amazing nonprofit organization here in Toronto, working with several shelters and connecting with women who are experiencing homelessness and who are experiencing economic disenfranchisement, who are experiencing separation from their dreams and their goals who are
Okay.
experiencing very difficult circumstances, and also on journeys to, to defeat substance abuse in their own lives, to reconnect with, who that little baby that had so much potential when they were born,
Hmm.
who was she, reconnecting with that. And the Beautiful Foundation has this amazing way of coming in and seeing the circumstance and calling her beautiful,
Okay.
regardless of the
So the
circumstance,
yeah,
Yeah,
regardless of what's going on in the exterior. Yeah, that
exactly.
sounds like right up my alley, Nadia. Let
Yeah,
me know.
yeah. And this organization has been so amazing. We've heard from their leadership throughout the past few weeks. We heard that they managed to get thousands of pounds of clothing sent to the Northwest Territories, which here in Canada is like super far away and super cold.
Okay.
Um,
It sounds like super
and
cold.
yeah, it is. And this dynamic woman, Judith James Meikle, coordinated with the Canadian military to get
Wow.
them to deliver all of this clothing. In the pandemic, there was a clothing shortage because, things can't travel like
Travel
they
up
would have
there.
been able to.
Yeah.
And it's not rural, it's like beyond rural, so it's like really hard to get things there in the first place, and then the
You know I'm a New
pandemic got
Yorker,
that.
right, Nadia? Beyond
So
rural is
you don't even know.
I don't even know.
Yeah. So, to be able to be here in the city and have enough consciousness to say, oh, wait a minute, our sisters literally on the other side of the country need this
Mhm.
support, and to mobilize, to take action, to just get it done. And that's the things that we love about the Beautiful Foundation. It's very practical ways of helping women and children to overcome different layers of abuse, physical abuse, of verbal, psychological, mental, financial
Okay.
abuse, and also overcome substance abuse, and help them to connect with their vision, amplify their voice. They talk about giving voice to the voiceless, help them write the version of their story, and help them live this life of victory. So everything we do this year is in
It's
partnership with the Beautiful Foundation.
That
Yeah.
is fine. You can count me in. Just let me know the date. And remember, I'm moving, but let me know
Yeah.
the date, and I definitely love to participate. Okay.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thanks to everyone who's been on with us this afternoon. It has been fantastic. Tara, before we go, any last words of wisdom that you'd like to share with our ladies?
I would just say, forgive yourselves if you have a thought that is not the ideal. Acknowledge it, let it go, and then just change it. And remember to love yourselves, because if you don't love yourselves, how are you going to have all the love that you need to give to everyone else that needs love from you? And there's so many different people that you have in your life right now that you're yet to meet that are going to need that from you. And I'm
Yeah.
just here to tell you that you're wonderful, you're special. If you didn't know it, I'm telling you today, and just tell yourself these things every day.
Yes, absolutely. Ladies, I hope you remember that these amazing words of wisdom from our sister Tara. We know you want to know more about her and how she can help you. So the link is posted. You can click to go to her website and find out a lot more about how she can support you on your healing journey as an entrepreneur. And we will make sure that you have all the ways to connect with us as well. My sisters, enjoy the rest of your day and be back here with us tomorrow at noon. If you're catching this replay, just hashtag replay and let us know. But we'll be here every day in March, as we promised you, with another phenomenal woman bringing her perspective on vision, voice, version, and victory. So until then, we say bye, y'all.
Bye.
Hey, sister, sitting store. What am I about to preach on? Damn, sister, close the door. Watch what you step out on. I said, hey, sister, so before you become a sin, I said, hey, sister, there is more, even if you think there isn't. When you live your life day to day, there will always be obstacles in your way.